hot does. Hey guys, we'll be back. It's not a bad sign, you know, it's 50 degrees, but they're moving. Come on, get on out. Oh, the one's missing a whole leg.
Oh.
Whoa! Did you see that?
I think so.
I was wondering what was so wrong with it. It's missing a whole leg.
Oh my.
This morning, everybody's off to Missouri. Ted and Aaron left yesterday. Greg and Jake are going today. Logan and I are going to Ohio, either today or tomorrow. But we gotta give this one last go. There was bucks all over the place in here yesterday. We just left the canoe, the boat launch. It's like 50 degrees today. Possible rain, but we got the right wind to get in here and get aggressive where those bucks were yesterday. Basically gonna be about as close to that bed where they were as we possibly can. If you remember, when that double beam buck was down the bottom, he was in a little opening, and that's where we're going to try to get to. And the reason we're going there is because, for one, that's where they all were kind of congregated. A lot of bucks are crossing those creek bottoms down through there, and I feel like we can paddle this canoe right to that spot. If you remember, he kind of crosses some water, and he's right around that creek. If everything pans out, we should be able to take this thing right to the spot that we want to set up. We got the Loma buck decoy. I think we're going to probably set it up pretty close to us. That way they can't really get downwind of it, but it's something visual to get out there. That way if we grunt to anything, if they look up, they should be able to see that from a long way away. Bucks are pretty territorial at this point because they got that hot doe in there. That's why we feel like it's worth going back, regardless of weather conditions or whatever. Yesterday it was like 65. This morning it's already about 50 degrees, so we're going to give it a go, and hopefully all those bucks are still in there. There might be even more bucks, though, if that doe made it out to any destination food sources. Surely other bucks have smelled her and are going to be coming back in there this morning. But it's been a madhouse in there both times we've been in. This is still, pretty unintrusive hunt, but we're going to get aggressive and be right up in them. Regardless of what we hear in the dark, if we're hearing deer like we did yesterday, we're not going to mess around and be sitting in the canoe. We're going to go past them, go get set up, and just hope that pans out. I mean, we may risk spooking more deer, but we got to get in there and get set up. So, got about an hour and a half, so we're going to paddle back, and we'll be set up before we know it. And hopefully, those two bucks are out there moving around. If they are, I think there's a pretty good chance that they're going to see that decoy and come in. I think Logan and I got in here clean. Paddled right to this spot, just like we planned. A lot different than yesterday. Either the deer aren't moving around as much, or they're just not all back. There are deer in here, though. You can hear one right here. And right when we got out of the canoe, it sounded like a buck chasing right down through the creek bottom in front of us. Nothing's ran from us, nothing's blown. We barely made any noise getting out here. Stuck that decoy out about 15 yards, facing back at us. Right here in front of us is where all those bucks were yesterday afternoon. The hope is even if something's up on the transition line, they'll look down here and see old Herman looking real weird out there. They'll be like, hey, let's go pick on that guy. As weird as that decoy looks, and almost every buck I've ever seen comes into it. So, to all the haters out there that said that they think that thing looks weird, I don't disagree, but man, they come stomping right to it. We're gonna hang loose. Just enjoy a beautiful October 30th morning. Sun's just starting to come up, so it doesn't look like we're going to have any rain, at least. Alright, we'll sign out. See you later. We haven't seen any deer yet, but this morning at first light we heard a buck pushing a doe close to this edge, just inside the timber. I'm guessing they're right up in the bed that we're set up over, and the bed's only probably is 80 to 100 yards up there, so I'm going to try grunting blind. I don't know how much good it's gonna do, but that's what we're gonna try. I see a doe bedded on the hill. No, a buck. What? I see a buck bedded on the hill. This one? Yeah. Shooter. Oh yeah, he's just stood up. I just saw him. It's him, it's the one from yesterday. He might come down here, Logan. He's right up there, he's coming down. Now he's gonna do it. He's gonna come down. Do you want him? Oh my gosh. It's a real nice one, dude. Yeah, it's the one from yesterday. He went down to the left. I think he should have been able to see that decoy from where he was. Now I see him up there in the timber. Do you see him, like right to the left of where he was? There he is. He's walking straight away. There's a doe in front of him. Yeah, probably. He's going kind of to the left now. Never know when I can't on him. Just move to the left. Yeah. You won't find that tree, unfortunately. Yeah. The doe just popped out right on the edge of the cedars. Little buck came in and he got downwind of us. He blew once, but that doe doesn't seem to mind. And the shooter is behind her grunting. They seem pretty relaxed. I'm guessing they're gonna bed right in there somewhere. There she comes. Right at about 11 o'clock, and we have not heard or seen those deer move from that spot up in there. They were right up there, We're getting hungry and thirsty, and this is the second day that I've been out hungry and thirsty, and I don't know that I can handle another day. I should have just packed lunch and water, but didn't. Really just thought we were going to have a chance before this, or we were going to blow up the world, but sure enough, they're up there. We know they're there and they're not spooked, so I'm going to try to lay the decoy down, I think, and then slip out of here on the canoe and just hope that they can't see us. Slip out of here, go grab a bite to eat, get some water, and then paddle right back in here for this afternoon, because I think they're going to come back through this bottom at some point. Probably later towards dark, but I would say they're probably going to be holed up there for a while. Last night the action was hot down here, so hoping the same happens tonight. We will be back. It's about 4 o'clock. Logan and I came back in here. We paddled further down the creek. We had a bit of a wind switch this morning. It was coming out of the south. Now it's coming out of the north. We watched that buck go up into that cove directly across from us. And as we were paddling in, we came across this massive creek crossing right here. And that's basically what we're set up on. The creek crossing's 22 yards away. And we're right in the creek channel. The reason we decided to do this is because we felt like it was silly to miss an opportunity on that crossing. There was buck tracks going back and forth right on it. So we just pulled the canoe up. The canoe's actually right down there. Our hope is that if a deer comes and hits that crossing, it stops and looks at the canoe. And at that point, I'm already drawn on them. If they stop and look at that thing, it's going to be a really good shot. If not, though, they can also come up here to our right. We've got shots to the right, and we've got shots to the left on the other side of the creek. Basically, if any deer is paralleling this creek, we've got a really good chance of getting a shot. We know that buck's up in there yesterday. I'm pretty sure that double beam buck came right across this crossing at about 5 o'clock, and he met up with that other buck right here in front of us about 30 yards. If anything like that happens tonight, we're going to be in really good shape. Like I said, I'm pretty pleased with this setup. We got the ability to move. I'm probably going to be able to stand up the whole time and just watch for deer coming, and then just crouch down as need be. We know that buck's up there. We feel like if we were here last night, we would be right in the money. There's buck sign all over this little opening by this creek, so we know they're coming through here. And on that crossing, like I said, that's the highest density of tracks across this whole piece that we've been on so far. Right here on top of the hill is a standing cornfield. I'm guessing that they're going to work their way up towards that field just like they did last night. And if they do that, I would say there's a really, really good chance they're going to hit that crossing. If all we see is just that buck and that doe, my guess is that's the direction they're going to go. The corner of the field is literally right up there about 150 yards, right on the private land side. Our wind is blowing right down the creek. It's a pretty consistent wind, so we're going to have that cover. And even if it dies, this canary grass is really quiet in here, so we're going to be able to make moves, kind of adjust to wherever we need to shoot. But yesterday they started moving at about 5 o'clock, so I'm going to stand up here and just start scanning as best I can. Hopefully we can catch them on their feet tonight. If it's anything last night, we're going to be right in the middle of a bunch of bucks. pine blah.
Yeah, I know.
I never glassed him yesterday. I just assumed it was a scar, like a fresh scar. Hey, what? I see a deer up there. Okay, where at? Like about the crest of the hill, probably. I can just skyline it. I don't see it anymore. It's like straight up in there somewhere. Oh, I got it. Got it? Yeah. Dope. Buck. Decent. Alright, just saw the flash of it. Maybe that's gone now. Walking left or right. For sure head over. For sure up there still.
It looks decent.
Still see it.
I can see a beat. Looks like good, for sure. Yeah, shooter, I think, dude.
What?
I think it's for sure a shooter. I think it looks big. Catching on the cam. Can you see a tail flicking up there? Yeah, dude, that's a shooter, no doubt. That's it. Definitely a buck and definitely like, I mean, I could be totally wrong. I could just want to tell you wrong.
Just keep your eyes up there best you can, alright? Yeah. Because I'm just have to look to the left.
I might just blow my binos and start glassing up there.
It's about 5:40, and Logan and I just started seeing deer. A buck pushed a doe up on top of the hill. We're not sure which buck it was. And right as that's happening, I heard a grunt, and I turned around, and the little buck was right here at the creek. Would have been an easy shot had I been ready, but they're starting to move. Hopefully him spooking like that didn't mess anything up. It's just proving we're in a good spot. Jack, what? You hear that? Yeah, I saw it. It's a doe. It's a doe. Get the camera ready. Get the camera ready. Here she goes. She's right there, right up there. I don't know, 30 yards. On the edge. Yep, close to the edge. Oh, there's a buck behind her. Shoot her. Shoot her. Yep. Real nice buck. Up in the timber. She's coming down.
see him.
Okay, just listen. Just listen. Looked pretty good, didn't it?
Yeah.
There he goes down to the left. Was that not the wildest thing that ever just happened, buddy?
I hope so, dude. Pretty similar.
It went right through him. It's a little low, but I don't think it's too far back, do you?
No.
Dude, I'm shaking my butt off now.
Get that hard.
Oh, yeah. He's right at about 30.
I had him at 30 meters. I'm just under 30 meters on the camera.
Dude, that was fun as heck. What about the spot? It said, man, we could shoot to the right, we can shoot down that crossing, we can shoot. Hey, there's another buck right here. Another buck. It's that one from earlier, I think. Just pan to him real quick. Oh, double up.
Hasn't even hit me. You just shot that thing right earlier.
It's hit me. I'm feeling like real weird, you know, like, because it looked good. The arrow flew perfectly and hit right where.
I was just worried about holding it, so I just thought it looked good.
It sounded good, didn't it? It went poof.
Yeah, it sounded
And
good.
it's uphill. I mean, I'm literally shooting uphill at him, so it wasn't going to come out lower than where it went in. He might be down right there.
I didn't hear him down right there.
Dude, that's cool. That's so fun. The reason we decided to sit here is because we had a shot on that transition line to the right, anything paralleling this creek and anything on this creek crossing. And at whatever time it was, my watch beeped when they were standing up there at 6 o'clock. Little tip, if you want to know the time without looking, you just turn it on beep and
Doesn't even bother them.
they can't hear that. Sounds like a bird chirping now. Logan saw that buck, or I spotted the doe up there, and then Logan spotted the buck following. Well, and then that little buck came in and busted, and I was like, well, we're toast now, because he ran. I looked up and I saw the doe right here at like 40 yards just kind of milling around. So he came back around, made some scrapes up there, but we just had to keep adjusting, and at one point we returned all the way back to the creek crossing because the doe took off running.
I returned broadside. I was getting worried.
Oh, dude, I was like, we're not going to get a chance, and then he finally did it. I was crouched right here, and I kept going like this. And he was about out of my lane. See, he's about to hit this stuff for me. And I was like, if he does that, like, I got nothing.
Yeah, all right.
Dude, cool, man. But hey, I think we're going to get this buck.
I think so.
He might have went down right there.
He might have.
Because he ran. Yeah, we'll look at the footage.
Yeah.
And then we'll run.
All right, ready? Look up.
All right, that's good. See, right here, I was like, I almost stopped. Oh, it's heart shot, isn't it?
I think so. That looks better than mine.
Yeah. It sounds so good. We just watched it here, and it looks really good. Way better than we thought, and you can hear it pop really loud. I think we got a buck down, boys. Doesn't have a ton of blood on it, but it went through a lot of grass. I mean, it smells fine. We just gotta look for a little bit of blood here.
Yeah.
Folks, we're kind of in a dilemma. We're not seeing any blood, but we're all 95% sure that this buck's hit good enough to be down right now. We're running out of camera 7 o'clock. We're running out of camera battery. We don't want to necessarily find him and then the camera dies, so I'm just gonna back out, be safe. I mean, we could probably come up here and find blood in another 10-15 yards, but I don't really know what we're gonna gain. We're not gonna be able to get this buck out of here by ourselves, so we'll probably just go back, try to meet up with somebody. Mindy's here still, so at least we can have Mindy come help. Back to the canoe we go. All right, guys, we made it back to the house, made it back to town, I guess, and it's 10 o'clock now. We're going in to get this buck, but first we're gonna go get our friend Jake's boat. The reason we're getting the boat is because the wind has really picked up, and I think we're gonna have a heck of a time paddling that buck out on the canoe, and we're also not gonna be able to all walk back in there. So having the boat's just gonna speed up the process. Hopefully we don't get out of here super late, but it's not really how these things generally work. Feeling pretty confident, but going to get the boat, then headed down there. All right, well, we got over here to get the boat, and problem number one, this pile of rock was supposed to be delivered a month ago to whoever did that. Nah, that's not good. Now we've got this pile of rock, and we've got a boat that's in the built barn here. So we're gonna try to figure out how we can get this boat off this Can-Am and pulled out and hopefully hook it up. We'll see if we can make this happen. Jake's not very optimistic, but I'm feeling pretty good about it. We're gonna make it work, because I don't know how else we're gonna get him out of here. If you guys push, we can get it the rest of the way. All right, 3, 2, 1. I think we got it now. Never doubt the THP crew, even if you got a rock pile in the way, we're gonna figure it out. Well, we made it back here. We got a fair walk back here, probably about 300, 400 yards to where we shot. We're gonna go back to the arrow, start tracking from there. Let's go for it. All right, I'm pretty sure he had to have run down that edge right there. So we'll just go slowly down that trail and just look for blood. We went up to that tree and didn't find any blood, so hopefully that changes. Hopefully that means he's gonna start bleeding more. Yeah. Hope I can get that arrow. We're probably like 30 yards from where we found that little speck of blood. It seems like he's finally starting to open up. This is what we were hoping to find initially, but it took him darn near 60 yards. I mean, now that I'm looking at it, I can see it splattered up through there. Whew. I was really starting to worry that this thing wasn't going to bleed at all. We were just going to have to do a body search, I guess, for him in here, but it's starting to look better. Now we got something to follow, though. And it's spraying all over now. Really good blood. We got a lot of blood now. I mean, the blood is spraying way out 2 yards away from where his feet were. It's looking like he definitely crossed the creek because there's blood right in the creek. I have to go up here to this crossing. We're gonna leave the arrow right where the blood is. Hopefully he's somewhere right over there. I mean, I don't see him yet. That's a lot of blood. Right there he is, guys.
Oh my god.
We walked right past him. Yeah, dude, Logan.
Yeah, buddy.
Oh man. Yes. That was stressing me out, guys.
That was
Perfect.
oh my.
Wow.
Perfect.
Awesome.
That is a brute. He went right down.
That thing's huge, dude.
I love those dark colored animals too. Those are awesome.
Man, that shot is exactly where you want it. I mean, I've shot a lot of deer with the broadheads that I'm using, and I've had them not bleed right off the bat. I mean, we didn't find blood for a good 60, 70 yards. We found that little speck and then it just opened up completely. And Logan and I probably almost could have seen this spot, but it's tough to really hear anything, and that's what we were struggling with. We couldn't hear anything because it was windy. We didn't even hear him cross the creek, and when we hear deer cross this creek most of the time, it's really loud, but I feel very relieved now. And he is just a tank of an 8-pointer. It's crazy. We've hunted back here for, I guess this is our 3rd day back here this season. We've seen this buck and 2 other shooters, and we had no idea this guy was even here. I mean, today we were set up for the one that we saw this morning, which was bedded this morning right over here. This place is just loaded, but whew, I feel real relieved. He's stiff. I mean, he ran up here and fell down. Like, he was down instantly, just like everybody's telling me, I guess. Cool. Yes.
Good job. Awesome.
What did you guys think? Did you think I was taking you on a wild goose chase or what? You still probably think that. You're like, well, we gotta, Zach, shut up. We gotta get out of here.
It's been a heck
I'm
of a
just
night.
thankful he ran toward the boat.
Yeah, seriously, the boat's only
I'm pretty excited about that.
100 yards down there. I can't thank these 2 enough, and Logan. These 2 have to work tomorrow, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna get this thing cleaned up and get him back to the boat. We'll talk about this more tomorrow. Logan and I will get back out and kind of recap the strategy that went into hunting this buck, because I think there's a lot there, but it's gonna be a fun rest of the night. The work's cut out now, as they say. Well, you come from Wisconsin, you get thrown right into the rut fire, huh?
Yeah, wild day of Iowa rut hunting.
Yeah, for October, that's about as good as it gets. That's actually just for the rut in general about as good as it gets. Ted and I went in there that first day, and we just kind of went in there with the goal to figure out if we could get the canoe back in there and we would be able to go in there and hunt with low impact. One of the things that we've kind of been struggling with a little bit this season is these calm mornings. We've had a lot of calm mornings where any time you walk in, even if it's pretty quiet, you're making too much noise and you're bumping deer.
And with this hunt in particular, the canoe was the only reason we could go back in there three times, right?
Yep.
Within 3 different hunts, and basically set up how we did without making an impact or even bumping any deer.
Yeah, pretty odd for our style of hunting is that we didn't bump hardly any deer. A lot of times when we're hunting aggressive like this, whether we're on a stand, on the ground, whatever we're doing, when you're going into bedding areas to hunt and set up, if there's a high deer density within those bedding areas, it's really tough to get in there without bumping deer. That canoe allowed us to keep going in there, hunt it as aggressively as we wanted with spooking, really minimal deer. There was very few deer that ever got downwind of us. There was very few deer that ever saw us. And just based off of what we were seeing back there, we just had to keep going for it.
Yeah, and in my mindset, the biggest thing was the ground scent. We left hardly any ground scent. We would canoe in, right down that little creek channel, and we would get out, and both the hunts I had with you were less than 10 yards from the canoe, both our setups.
Yeah, and before that, when I was hunting back there with Ted and Jake that one afternoon, we were just kind of working our way back slowly, trying to figure out where the beginning of all that hot sign, where all the deer really were. Instead of diving right back in there, we kind of worked our way back. And when you got a lot of deer like that, it just really ups your odds of finding a doe that's getting close to going into heat. We got pretty lucky, and I think there was 2 or 3 does back there that were pretty close, and it just created quite the madhouse back there. But it just goes to show you got to be looking for that hot sign or get a visual on a hot doe. In every area, not just Iowa, where we do have a higher than normal deer density, there are areas that you can find when hunting private, public, whatever type of ground you're hunting, you can find where that pocket of deer feels really comfortable. Once you find that area, especially this time of the year, it's worth focusing on it if you're not affecting the deer. We're bouncing until we find it, and then we hit it hard. And a lot of times when you find that, there's just multiple bucks that are moving through that area, and that's exactly what we had in this spot. And after a month of bouncing around, trying to find the best, highest density of buck sign, we finally were able to capitalize on this spot, but kind of made a goal of hunting those river and creek bottoms this year. Basically a river system that has a bunch of feeder creeks in it, and my goal was to focus on that area during October. Really didn't hunt anywhere else the whole first month of the season. By doing that, we learned a lot. We learned a lot about that area, and I would say one of the biggest things was learning how to hunt those transition lines. In this specific spot, the transition line is super obvious. You just go from a creek bottom to hardwoods, and those bucks were just walking up and down that transition line. If you weren't hunting the transition line back there, you were probably out of the game. And your transition lines aren't always going to be as hard a transition lines as what we were hunting yesterday, where you've got big timber and a creek bottom, two totally different habitats. Sometimes it may be a patch of willows next to a patch of canary grass. Sometimes it might be CRP next to a standing cornfield. Every different habitat break is a different transition line. And if you really look closely while you're scouting, 9 times out of 10, where there is some sort of habitat break, you're going to find a trail, and a lot of times you're going to find rubs and scrapes. The reason being is those bucks are bedding and traveling on those lines.
And when we were hunting in there was places up in the hardwoods where you could have hung a tree stand, no doubt, but a majority of that deer movement was all down in that creek bottom.
Yep, and I think being on the ground down in that situation, you're getting even closer to where the deer are bedding. You know, a lot of those deer are bedding right on that transition. They're bedding in tall grass or the willows down there, and the closer you are to that area, the more buck movement you're going to get. Because if the does are bedding there, the does are traveling through there, then you're going to get the bucks cruising through there trying to find that first hot doe. Since we had some hot does in that area, the bucks were just cruising them like crazy, so we took advantage of that, got aggressive. You know, we kind of messed around for a long time yesterday, and I think that's one thing that we didn't necessarily do a great job of documenting was us talking about that spot. I mean, dude, we sat there for an hour
at least
and contemplated, like, should we sit here? Should we sit there? You know, what benefit do we have here versus there? We eventually said, we can't pass up this sign. There's good sign on the transition. We had a creek crossing, and we were able to shoot the transition of just that canary grass and the creek bottom habitat there where we were sitting on.
And we picked the spot that we thought we had the most options as well, not just the one option, which sometimes we set up in the past where we only have one trail that we're shooting on the ground. But in this particular setup, we had 4 really solid options for a shot.
When you're hunting out of a tree stand, the ground, whatever it may be, when you make a setup, make sure that you have the perfect shot at those spots. And that's what we did. Once we got set up, we were like, hey, this is going to be pretty sweet.
This could really happen.
Yep. And sure enough, it eventually did. We eventually got real lucky and this thing came in. We knew we had a really good chance being back there. And again, you know, I think the biggest takeaway is just finding that hot sign, which is something that we've been seeking all of October.
I mean, all year. Even back in September when we were in Nebraska, same thing.
And then finding a creative way to access this spot. Paid off big this time, and, you know, we're feeling pretty good about the rest of the season now. You know, we've got 2 tags filled here in Iowa. Logan, Ted, Aaron, and Greg still have tags, and we've got the whole month to try to get aggressive on them and hopefully find another couple spots like we did here at the tail end of October. But Logan and I have got to get this guy taken care of, pack up our stuff, do a bunch of editing in the next 48 hours, and then we're headed to Ohio. We're going to be meeting up with my friend Ben. So we should have tons of cool content here in the first part of November. We're really looking forward to it. Things are definitely starting to heat up, and the action can be wild. But thanks for watching, guys. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so. Check out the description below. We got links to all our gear, our camera equipment, the clothing that we wear. We've even got links to our apparel down there, so check out that description below. Thanks for all your support, and we're looking forward to the November leg of the deer tour. Should be pretty fun.